Good evening. Let me tell you something. In this world, this chaotic, noisy, distracted world, we are often told what power looks like. We're told it wears a suit. We're told it sits behind desks, signs checks, runs companies, commands armies. But I've come to understand something much deeper, much truer. The most dangerous woman in the world is a woman of faith. Not dangerous because she causes harm. No, it's dangerous because she cannot be harmed by the things that keep others enslaved. Fear doesn't move her. Opinions don't shape her. Temptation can't shake her. She's not driven by what's popular. She's driven by purpose. A woman of faith walks into a room and the air changes. Not because she demands attention, but because she carries conviction. You can feel it. She knows who she is. She knows who she is. And you can't buy that kind of confidence. You can't teach it. You can't fake it. That kind of strength is forged in fire. That kind of peace is built through storms. That kind of clarity comes from God. You want to see power? Watch a woman pray over her children when she can't pay the bills. Watch her go to work with a broken heart, still serving with a smile. Watch her speak truth in a room full of liars. That's not weakness. That's warriorship. See, society wants her distracted, wants her doubting, wants her comparing herself to the fake life on a screen, wants her chasing validation that was never hers to need. But when she wakes up, when her spirit wakes up, when she realizes that her identity isn't tied to her past, her paycheck, or her position, but to a divine calling, oh, now she's dangerous. Dangerous to darkness, dangerous to injustice, dangerous to anyone who thought she'd stay silent. She doesn't need a platform to lead. She leads with presence. She doesn't shout to be heard. Her life is the sermon. Her faith is not loud, but it is unshakable. And that unshakable faith, that's what makes hell nervous. So if you see a woman standing tall, praying bold, walking forward, even with tears in her eyes, don't you dare count her out. She's not done. She's just started. And when her faith rises, her family rises, her community rises, a generation rises. The most dangerous woman is a woman of faith. Let me say something that this world doesn't always want to hear. The most dangerous woman in the world is a woman of faith. Not the kind of danger you run from, but the kind of danger darkness fears. The kind of woman who doesn't get shaken when the storm hits. The kind who stands still when others are running. Why? Because she's anchored in something deeper, something higher, something eternal. See, we've been taught to believe danger comes with noise, with strength, with weapons and threats. But the most dangerous kind of power is quiet. It's rooted. It's steady. A woman of faith doesn't have to raise her voice to raise the bar. She doesn't have to be seen to be heard. Her power isn't about presence, it's about purpose. She can walk into a room and not say a word, and yet everything in that room adjusts. The atmosphere changes. Not because of her status or her clothes or her title, but because of her spirit. She's not intimidated by chaos because she's seen worse and made it through. She's not afraid of rejection because she knows she's already accepted by something greater. She doesn't crumple under pressure because pressure made her. That woman you see standing tall, she's been through pain you wouldn't survive. Nights she cried so hard she couldn't breathe. Mornings she got up anyway, put on grace like armor and kept moving. Faith didn't make her soft, it made her unbreakable. You might mistake her kindness for weakness. You might misread her patience as passivity. But don't get it twisted. She's choosing peace, not because she has to, but because she's already won battles most people don't even know she was fighting. When the world tells her she's too much, she doesn't shrink, she prays louder. When life says sit down, she rises. When people count her out, she doesn't argue. She lets her fruit speak for her because she knows deep in her bones that she doesn't move by sight, she moves by faith. A woman of faith is dangerous because you can't control her. You can't buy her loyalty, you can't bribe her values, and you can't manipulate her with applause or attention. She's not here for approval. She's not here to fit in. She's here on assignment. And she treats her calling like it's sacred, because it is. When you live by faith, you don't need a crowd to know you're chosen. You don't need proof to believe in the promise. She speaks life because she's been surrounded by death and chose to live. She walks in hope because she's felt despair and kept going anyway. Don't look for her power in loud speeches or fancy platforms. Look for it in the quiet moments. Look for it in how she forgives what others hold on to, how she shows up when it's hard, how she prays in the midnight hour, not because she's trying to be strong, but because that's how she survives. She knows the strength isn't hers alone. Her strength comes from the one who called her, the one who sustained her, the one who said, "I will never leave you." That promise. That's what keeps her. That's what fuels her. And that's why she's dangerous. She doesn't need a spotlight. Her faith shines without it. She doesn't need validation from others. She's already been qualified by God. So when she walks into the workplace, she carries integrity. When she enters her home, she brings peace. When she sees injustice, she doesn't back down. She steps up, not to be seen, but to serve. That's what faith does. It's not about her being perfect. It's about her being available. It's about saying yes to something bigger than her comfort. When you see a woman who refuses to settle, who knows her worth, who carries herself with quiet fire, you're looking at a woman who's been through something, who's seen enough to know that this world can't give her what it didn't create. She's not impressed by fame, not afraid of failure, not moved by what's trending. She knows truth doesn't change and purpose doesn't expire. And because she knows who she is, because she knows whose she is, she's unstoppable. The enemy of progress is fear. The weapon of progress is faith. And when a woman locks into her faith, fear loses its grip. Doubt loses its volume. Distractions lose their pull. She doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't perform, she lives. And every step she takes is guided, guarded, and grounded. There's something the world doesn't always know how to handle, and that's a woman who knows where her strength comes from. Not a woman who pretends to be strong, not a woman who fakes peace or holds her head high for the camera, but a woman who walks in quiet confidence because she knows she was built by something bigger than her circumstances. That kind of woman is dangerous, not because she raises her voice, but because she raises standards. She's dangerous not because she fights for attention, but because she lives with intention. The most dangerous woman is a woman of faith. A woman of faith isn't defined by what happens to her. She's defined by how she responds. You see her walking with grace, but you didn't see her crawling through seasons that tried to destroy her. You didn't see the prayers she whispered when no one was around. You didn't feel the weight she carried and still showed up for others. She's the kind of woman who took betrayal and turned it into wisdom, who took loss and turned it into gratitude, who took heartbreak and turned it into purpose, because her strength didn't come from being untouched by pain. It came from being refined by it. The world tries to measure success with noise, shouting, showcasing, spotlighting. But a woman of faith doesn't need that. She's not loud, but she's heard. She's not showy, but she's seen. She walks into rooms that were never built for her, and she doesn't ask for permission to belong. She already knows she does. Because her identity isn't built on popularity, it's rooted in divine promise. She doesn't need people to clap for her calling. She was chosen before they even noticed she was there. And here's what makes her even more dangerous. She believes in something greater than herself. That belief makes her resilient. That belief makes her fearless. That belief keeps her moving when logic says stop. While others are driven by opinions, she's moved by obedience. While others are chasing applause, she's following purpose. That's not weakness. That's focus. And in a distracted world, focus is dangerous. She isn't afraid to walk alone because she knows solitude is not the same as abandonment. She's not shaken when she's misunderstood because her validation doesn't come from being liked, it comes from being aligned. She knows the voice that called her isn't confused even when others are. She knows what God promised her in the dark doesn't change when people can't see it in the light. That's why she doesn't fold when pressure comes. She doesn't shrink when expectations rise. Her confidence is steady because it's not built on sand. It's built on a rock. You'll see her in the boardroom and at the kitchen table. You'll see her raising her voice for justice and lowering her knees in prayer. You'll see her correcting with love, leading with truth, serving without applause. She doesn't need to dominate to influence. She doesn't need to attack to protect. She doesn't move through manipulation. She moves through discernment. And when she moves, things shift. Environments change. Not because she demands it, but because her presence carries weight. You can't scare her with failure because she's learned that failure is part of the faith walk. You can't silence her with doubt because she's been doubted before and still rose. You can't trap her with guilt because she knows what forgiveness feels like. She has nothing to prove, and that's what makes her powerful. She's not in the business of performing for approval. She's committed to living in truth, and that truth gives her the freedom to be bold. You want to know what threat looks like to a system built on control? A woman who can't be controlled. A woman who doesn't fear scarcity because she knows who her provider is. A woman who doesn't cling to status because she knows what eternity holds. A woman who walks away from what looks good if it doesn't align with what is good. That kind of woman makes people nervous, not because she's reckless, but because she's righteous. And righteousness doesn't beg. It builds. It doesn't chase power. It carries it. You won't always see her name in lights, but you'll see her fingerprints on the lives she's touched, the peace she's preserved, the battle she's fought in silence. She's not perfect, but she's present. She's not fearless, but she's faithful. And in a world that rewards performance, that kind of authenticity is a rebellion in itself. The most dangerous woman is not the loudest voice in the room, not the one wearing a crown on her head, not the one holding a mic or sitting at the head of the table. The most dangerous woman is the one who has walked through fire and still speaks with grace. The one who has been through storms and still stands without bitterness. The one who believes not because everything is easy, but because she's seen the hand of God move when everything around her told her to give up. That's the kind of woman you can't predict, can't pressure, can't play with. She's not interested in being impressive. She's committed to being impactful. She doesn't waste time chasing what's shiny when she knows the gold is in what's real. She may not have the loudest platform, but her faith is loud enough. Loud enough to silence fear. Loud enough to break cycles. Loud enough to raise children with vision. Loud enough to stand in rooms where she wasn't expected to survive, let alone thrive. Her strength doesn't come from her surroundings, it comes from her source. She's dangerous because her vision is long. She doesn't just see what's in front of her. She sees what's ahead. She doesn't react to the moment. She responds from wisdom. She's built differently, not because she hasn't fallen, but because she keeps getting back up, each time stronger, each time clearer, each time more determined to keep walking by faith and not by sight. What makes her powerful is not that she's unafraid, but that she moves anyway. Courage is her language. Not because she was taught to be bold, but because she learned that God doesn't fail. And when you believe that deep in your soul, you become a force that can't be manipulated, can't be swayed, can't be bought. That's dangerous in a world that runs on fear. She's not here to impress anyone. She's not here to conform. She's not chasing approval or applause. She has nothing to prove, only purpose to fulfill. She's not confused about her value. She's not apologizing for her fire. She knows what it cost her to stand where she stands. The sleepless nights, the prayers through tears, the choices to keep going when quitting would have been easier. She remembers who she was before faith stepped in and rescued her, and she's never going back. A woman like that doesn't need a title to lead. She leads with presence, with discernment, with conviction. She doesn't need to dominate to be heard. She speaks truth and lets it land where it needs to. She doesn't strive for attention, but her life draws people in. Not because she's perfect, because she's real, because her life is a testimony that hope is still alive, that faith still works, that God is still moving. She walks with boundaries, not because she's guarded, but because she knows she's sacred. She doesn't entertain everything that comes her way because not everything deserves access. She's not distracted by temporary wins because she's playing for eternity. She pours into others, not for recognition, but because it's who she is. She knows how to build without noise, to serve without spotlight, to pray in private and trust that God will do the revealing. What makes her dangerous isn't that she's never been knocked down. It's that she refuses to stay there. It's that every time life tried to break her, she let God rebuild her stronger. Every time her heart was shattered, she let purpose pour through the cracks. She carries wisdom that can't be Googled, a strength that can't be staged, a joy that doesn't depend on circumstances. She laughs without fear of the future because she surrendered the outcome to something higher than herself. She doesn't compete with other women because she understands kingdom women don't compete. They multiply. They cover each other, celebrate each other. She knows her lane and she runs in it with excellence, with honor, with humility. She understands that when one rises, we all rise. And so she rises again and again, not for ego, not for fame, but for impact. She's not waiting to be rescued. She's not waiting to be discovered. She's already been chosen, already equipped, already enough. And when she walks into a room, hell gets nervous. Because the most dangerous woman in the world is the one who believes what God said, even when she can't see it yet. The most dangerous woman isn't the one who has it all figured out. It's not the one with the perfect plan, the flawless image, or the polished words. It's the one who has chosen to trust God in the places where nothing makes sense. The one who chooses to believe anyway, even when life hands her every reason not to. The one who keeps walking through the valley, not because she's fearless, but because she knows who walks beside her. That's the woman the world can't break, because she's already surrendered to something unshakable. You won't always notice her at first. She's not loud about her strength. She's not chasing affirmation. She doesn't need attention to know she matters. But if you sit long enough, you'll start to feel it. Her spirit doesn't settle for surface level. Her eyes carry history. Her words carry weight. She's dangerous because she's deeply rooted. Her peace is not an act. It's not a mask she wears. It's a fire she's walked through and survived. It's 1,000 moments of choosing faith over fear, truth over lies, purpose over pain. She's the kind of woman who doesn't let disappointment define her. She's the kind of woman who cries when no one is watching, but wipes her tears and shows up anyway. Because faith doesn't mean you don't feel it. It means you keep going even when you do. She's learned how to pray in the dark. She's learned how to praise with a trembling voice. She's learned how to be still when everything around her says run, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because faith isn't just something she talks about, it's something she walks out every day. There's a different kind of fire in a woman who survived what was sent to destroy her. A fire that can't be put out by gossip, by betrayal, by delay, by denial. She knows what it's like to be underestimated. She knows what it's like to be overlooked, but she also knows what it's like to be overlooked. But she also knows what it's like to be held by a power greater than rejection. She doesn't perform to be chosen. She walks like she already is. That confidence, that clarity, it didn't come cheap. It came through nights of wrestling with doubt. Days of silence when all she had was a promise. Moments where she stood between breaking down and breaking through. She knows that faith doesn't mean comfort. Faith means commitment. It means showing up when it's inconvenient. It means speaking life when death is knocking. It means lifting others while carrying your own pain. She's not strong because she's never been weak. She's strong because she's chosen to rise every single time. She's not wise because she's always been right. She's wise because she's been willing to learn, to grow, to fall, and still believe she's called. She's not chasing perfection. She's walking in obedience. And that makes her dangerous in a world that rewards image over authenticity. She's not trying to be everything to everyone. She's becoming exactly who she was created to be. And that woman, she can't be boxed in. She can't be watered down. She doesn't bend to trends or culture's timeline. She moves to the rhythm of truth, to the pulse of purpose. She is dangerous because her yes to God is louder than the noise of the world. She knows how to war in prayer, how to stand in the gap, how to carry burdens that aren't hers and intercede like a soldier. She doesn't fold under pressure, she flourishes under it. Because pressure produces power. Pressure brings out the oil. And she knows she was made for more than survival. She was made to break chains, to shift rooms, to speak what others are afraid to say. She doesn't need to defend her place, she prepares it. She doesn't compete, she cultivates. She doesn't tear down, she builds. The danger isn't in her hands, it's in her faith, in her discipline, in her refusal to quit. She's not desperate for control because she's surrendered the outcome. That surrender gives her peace. That peace gives her power. That power gives her presence. She can lead without needing to dominate. She can correct without condemning. She can walk away from what looks good because she knows what's right. Her discernment isn't based on fear. It's based on spiritual authority. She's not afraid to be misunderstood. She's not afraid to be different. She's not afraid to walk alone for a season if it means walking with integrity. She understands that isolation can be a sanctuary when it's God ordained. She's dangerous because she's not looking for shortcuts. She's committed to the process, to the pruning, to the pressing. She knows that growth requires pain and greatness requires surrender. The most dangerous woman in any room is not the one who demands attention. It's the one who walks with it, the one who enters quietly but carries authority you can't explain. She doesn't have to prove her value because she knows where it comes from. She doesn't have to announce her strength because she lives it. Her faith didn't come from books or borrowed words. It came from walking through seasons where only God could carry her. And because she's been carried, she's now able to carry others. She doesn't just survive storms, she gathers others and walks them through it. She's not interested in being liked, she's interested in being aligned. She's not here to please the world, she's here to obey the voice that called her. That obedience has made her dangerous because it means you can't distract her with praise or stop her with pressure. She listens for something deeper than applause. She's moved by something than fear. She's learned that just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not holy. Just because it's delayed doesn't mean it's denied. She knows what it feels like to be overlooked by people but chosen by purpose. Her steps are not ordinary, they're ordered. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment has been turned into fuel. When she walks with history, with legacy, with the echoes of prayers her grandmother whispered and the strength of every woman who came before her and didn't quit. She's dangerous not because of what she has, but because of what she's let go of. The bitterness, the fear, the pride, the need to be understood. She's laid all that down so she can pick up something eternal. She's dangerous because she's disciplined. While others chase platforms, she's building altars. While others are scrolling through noise, she's leaning into silence. While others are trying to be seen, she's focused on seeing clearly. She's more concerned with who she's becoming than who's watching. That kind of woman is a threat to systems built on ego, insecurity, and empty validation. She's not driven by trends, she's anchored by truth. She's not swayed by culture, she's steady in calling. That steadiness didn't come easy, it was forged in the fire. This woman has been tried. She's faced battles that would have broken others. She's heard lies loud enough to echo in her soul, but she kept choosing truth. She kept getting back up, not because she felt strong, but because she trusted that strength would meet her on the way. She doesn't fake peace, she fights for it. She doesn't speak just to be heard. She speaks because she carries revelation. And when she does speak, everything around her listens, not to her volume, but to her clarity. She's not in competition with anyone. She knows what's hers cannot be stolen, delayed, or denied. She's not jealous because she knows her season is sacred. She's not rushed because she knows divine timing cannot be manipulated. You can't bait her with counterfeit offers. You can't distract her with noise. Her yes is too valuable. Her no is protected. She's been through too much to entertain anything that doesn't match her mission. She knows that her battle is not just for her, that her breakthrough is a blueprint, that her scars are not signs of shame. They're evidence that healing is possible. She carries testimonies in her silence. She walks with wisdom that came from dark places. Her strength isn't in her position, it's in her posture. She knows when to kneel. She knows when to speak. She knows when to walk away and when to stand her ground. That discernment is what makes her a force. She's not intimidated by darkness. She's been through it. She's seen what it looks like to lose everything and still have peace. To be surrounded by doubt and still declare the promise. To feel the sting of betrayal and still choose forgiveness. Her spirit is unshaken because it's built on something eternal. When others panic, she prays. When others retreat, she stands. When others compromise, she remembers who she is. She's dangerous because she knows her power isn't her own. It was given, it was refined, it was earned through obedience, through tears, through worship when the room was empty and hope was hard to find. That kind of woman walks differently. She builds differently. She loves differently. And wherever she goes, freedom follows. Because the most dangerous woman isn't the one who walks in power for herself. It's the one who walks in power for others. The most dangerous woman is not the one who walks into a room needing attention, but the one who brings a presence that shifts the room without saying a word. She doesn't ask for validation because she already knows she's been appointed. She doesn't perform for acceptance because she understands she's already been chosen. Her danger lies not in her volume, but in her vision. She's not motivated by the applause of the world. She's fueled by a purpose that was planted in her spirit long before anyone else saw her potential. This woman of faith doesn't crumble under criticism. She's already fought battles in silence that made her immune to small opinions. She's not distracted by shallow talk because she's been deep with God. The things that used to shake her no longer get a response. She's learned how to bring her pain into prayer and leave with peace. That's power. That's spiritual authority. That's what makes her dangerous. She's not just walking with confidence, she's walking with conviction. She knows what it's like to be tested in the dark, to feel forgotten, to cry over promises that felt like they would never come. But she also knows what it's like to witness miracles, to watch things fall apart only to see them come back together stronger, to be at the edge of giving up, only to hear that still small voice say, keep going. So she did. And that history gives her boldness. That history gives her clarity. You can't fake what she carries. It's been earned. In the wilderness, she's dangerous because she's no longer trying to be who others expect. She's become who she was designed to be. And she did it the long way, the hard way, the honest way. She stayed when it was easier to walk away. She forgave when revenge would have felt better. She waited when rushing would have made sense. That kind of discipline isn't weak, it's warfare. And now she's equipped with more than just dreams. She's equipped with discernment, with patience, with faith that's been tested and proven. She doesn't seek comfort, she seeks calling. She doesn't chase platforms, she chases purpose. You can't buy her loyalty or manipulate her with titles. She's not for sale because she's already been bought with a price. That kind of woman walks with authority that's bigger than her reputation. She doesn't need to be known to be effective. She doesn't need to be celebrated to be obedient. And obedience has always been more powerful than popularity. She's a builder. She builds where others tear down. She speaks life where others gossip. She protects when others expose. She doesn't just survive, she sows. She plants seeds of truth, of strength, of identity. And those seeds take root in the people around her. She doesn't need recognition to keep doing what's right. Her reward is in the impact, not the image. Her currency is eternity, not applause. That kind of clarity cannot be shaken. You'll find her raising children with purpose, praying over classrooms, speaking life in boardrooms, serving quietly in places no one will ever see. She's not bound by a role. She's anchored in a responsibility. She knows she was placed here for a reason, and she doesn't take that lightly. Her life isn't perfect, but it's powerful because she doesn't hide the process. She doesn't pretend to be invincible. She shows what it looks like to trust God through every chapter. She has authority because she's submitted. Power because she's surrendered. You can't manipulate her because she's not tied to outcomes. She's tied to obedience. That makes her dangerous to systems that rely on fear and confusion. You can't control someone who's free. You can't scare someone who knows who's fighting for her. She doesn't serve out of pressure. She serves out of purpose. She's not trying to earn favor. She's walking in it. She's not caught up in noise. She's focused on legacy. Her mind is on generations, not just moments. She prays for doors she'll never walk through, fights battles others will never see, and covers people who will never know her name. And she does it with joy, with reverence, with power, because faith has trained her to think differently, to move differently, to lead with a weight that's not about control, but about calling. Her words don't just speak, they shift. Her presence doesn't just inspire, it convicts. Her faith doesn't just guide her, it shields her. She's not trying to make a name for herself, she's trying to make an impact that outlives her. That kind of woman doesn't come around often, but when she does, everything around her rises. So if you see a woman standing tall, praying bold, walking forward, even with tears in her eyes, don't you dare count her out. She's not done. She's just getting started. And when her faith rises, her family rises, her community rises, a generation rises. The most dangerous woman is a woman of faith, so honor her, protect her, listen to her, but above all, do not underestimate her. Thank you.